Good morning, Azeroth. It is the 9th of April 2025. Grab your morning beverage and welcome to the stream. Blizzard announced the next patch for April 22nd with the different events opening up in the weeks that follow. A little stretched for my liking, but we'll see as the patch actually comes out. For us today, we will be carrying on with our Undermine Weeklies, earning some rep, earning some valor, having a natter about that new Devil May Cry show as we go, because I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend the watch. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Hope you're doing well today. You're about halfway through the week. Take it steady. Keep yourselves hydrated. You've got this. Alrighty, let's get ourselves set up. What willies have we got to do?
You are acknowledged.
Arena skirmishes. Might be an opportunity to do some PvP this week.
Return if you wish to speak.
Grab the dungeon quest, grab the delve quest.
The answers are here. I can feel it. Hear that? That's the sound of adventure calling our name.
So excitable, Brad. Quickly bob by Tarab and Garib.
The coreway must be protected.
Pretty behind on my profession stuff, but that's alright. Right, let's get going. Shall we bob by the Incontinental and grab everything we need?
The cartels are always hiring temp workers to pick up odd jobs. See if you can lend a hand.
Welcome to the best
Let's see,
place
where are we at with
ever.
folks? On up with these two. Let's do Bilgewater this week.
See you around.
Good stuff. And don't let them work you overtime.
Thanks for stopping by. Won't find better. Come back for more. I'll be waiting.
Right, we got scrap about anywhere? Ah.
Our crews have a higher turnover rate than a log
That-
on a river.
Bounce back.
Go recruit some nobodies to come be somebodies.
As I alluded to in the intro there, I finished up the new Netflix series of Devil May Cry yesterday. And I'll get into a little bit of my history with the franchise, but as it stands alone, I had a really good time with that show. I feel like it's really well animated. I think they did a really good job at kind of re-establishing that story. Which, let's be clear, it was never the grandest of game stories, but I feel like they had a lot of fun with it. That's the important thing.
Oh, for the lover. Get that out of
Even the points where
spending more than another minute here.
they bring in 3D animation to kind of gel with the 2D. You know, usually for monster fights and stuff like that, it's an easier way to go. It actually looked pretty solid. A couple moments here and there, like there was the flower demon lady from Devil May Cry 5, for example. Occasionally looked a bit wobbly, but for the most part it was fantastic. Dante's a little bit younger in this iteration, and I feel as a starting point that's pretty solid. Lady was actually a character, which was great to see. Then we've got a huge amount of badass moments, and moments of complete vulnerability and messing things up. The rabbit villain, I feel, was really well done. Episode 6 in particular, right? Again, there'll be some spoilers here. If you haven't watched it yet, it's on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It's a grand old time.
Back it up. We're done scrapping this one.
But episode 6 kind of swapped into two different art styles, kind of out of nowhere, and was really, really good. Actually gave you a moment to empathize with the villain, which was unexpected and It's generally really well done. I think the use of music and harkening back to the different theme songs from the games was choice. Specifically, they had, I don't know if remix or cover's the right word, but they had so many of the game's songs kind of popping in and out. And I think the very final scene, where we finally see Virgil proper, and as the show's kind of wrapping up and it's saying like, oh, we're done for now, we're setting up for maybe a second season, here's hoping. Virgil appears, you get the full reveal, and that bloody song from Devil May Cry 5, you know the one, I Am the Storm That Is Approaching, just starts playing in the back, and I burst out loud laughing, cackling with joy. It was absolutely delightful. That they went so on the nose, and it just worked really well. Like, I have very few complaints. I think the first couple episodes are stylish but a little weak overall. Just like, it's solid. As it kept going and ramping up, I was really enjoying myself. And it's interesting for me. I've heard some folks who are unhappy just lore-wise because it's not the same. And you can't remember when you're adapting different media into other forms of media, there will always be changes, and you've got to take advantage of the media you're in. And there were elements of the story that they kept close enough to the original where I'm like, yeah, this feels maybe not beat for beat, but we're hitting the same story here. So it kind of worked out.
Where the other cartels see people down on their luck.
And when it comes to Devil May Cry itself, right? So I remember when I was really young, probably like pre-teens, a mate of mine was playing the second game on a PlayStation. Might have been PS2, I can't remember. And all I remember is how frustrated he was getting with it and not understanding it at all. And then skip forward a great number of years.
What's shaking, pal?
At some point on the 360, in that golden age, as it were, there's a demo for Devil May Cry 4. So I'd never played the franchise at that point. I played the demo and I had a fantastic time. I had no affiliation for Dante beforehand. So playing as Nero was kind of a, okay, he's got white hair like the other dude. And I know it's a different guy, but it seems cool. Got a demon arm. Fucking dude's about. This is pretty good. And I got it on release and I played the ever-loving crap out of that game. Bumped through a load of the different difficulties. I really, really enjoyed it. Even to the point where the second half of that game is replaying it in reverse, but as Dante, which level design-wise and enemy design is a giant corner to cut. Let's be frank. It's taking the piss a little bit. But I still really enjoyed it, especially because it was a style of combat, that action combat, you know, it's a genre of its own. I'd never really played a game like that. I played hack and slashes, but not one that was so intent to be stylish and fancy and let you kind of express yourself through the combat in that way. And I wasn't very good at it. You know, I wasn't hitting the craziest ranks and getting the ridiculous strings of combos that you can see on YouTube these days. I think especially for Devil May Cry 5. Ow. There was just a lot of stuff about. And that story, it was very melodramatic, it was very silly. Nero was screaming Kyrie a lot of that game. And I remember really enjoying the little dynamic he had with Dante. And then, thereafter, the next game that comes out is that mini reboot they did with Ninja Theory, where they made him this very emo-coded, aggro young kid. And I think it's a very stark difference to the Netflix show, because they made him younger, yes, but they didn't make him, I don't know if disillusion's the right word, but certainly was a bit of a shit in a way that it lost a lot of the charm, you know? But credit where credit's due. As much as people didn't like that change, and I'd count myself among that number, the gameplay, the level design, the boss design, the sheer creativity on display, I think, was really good. And I think for it to be a one and done, because they'd eventually go back to the older style of Devil May Cry and the old cast. But there was some really cool gameplay additions. And as I say, just design work throughout that was really enjoyable. I highly recommend, if you're new to the franchise, I know from the Netflix show the numbers have gone up just from people playing the games on Steam, and I think very cleverly, since its release, all the games are on sale for like a week or so. I don't know if they still are, but one of those situations where a good adaptation can get people in the door in a way that really serves the franchises. We saw that with Arcane to an extent, where people were trying League of Legends and went, the fuck is this? How about no? We saw it with Fallout, where a load of people started going back and played Fallout 76 and then some of the older games. So there's a huge amount of potential there in terms of pushing an IP. As I say, they went back to the other formula with 5, which was really cool to see so many years later. I feel like this was when Capcom, you know, after post-Monster Hunter World, was really getting back into the swing of things. And Devil May Cry 5, I absolutely adored. Especially at the time of its release, when we're starting to get into that big live service push, when so many games are coming out and being a disappointment or launching buggy and broken. Devil May Cry 5, it's so unabashedly a video game that it's just a great deal of fun to play and enjoy. And I never got around to the Virgil special edition. I have never personally gone through and played with the storm that is approaching. But it's because I finished it a good while on console beforehand. I picked up the PC version on sale a number of years later. And it is something one day I really do want to stream and get to and play, because I absolutely loved it. And seeing those characters come back, seeing Nero come back. These goddamn hills of trash. I'm gonna miss the scrap. Hang on.
I'm out of range.
I need it. I need to hit the scrap pile at least once. Come on, give me it. There we go.
Alright, nothing good left in this pile. On to the next one.
Man, I had such a fantastic time with that game. There were even like pseudo multiplayer elements in there. Like, it would occasionally, you would randomly be playing with what was clearly another player out of nowhere, which felt really cool. And I know there were some issues around like microtransactions. They're trying to sell you the in-game currency so you can buy upgrades faster and all of that. Just a lazy money grubby move. But they did, as I say, add the version with Virgil. They added the Bloody Palace, which is like a score attack leaderboard. I don't know what that iteration was. You just go and fight a load of enemies back to back constantly. It was a lot of fun, I remember, from 4.
Blood sales in my town? I don't care if this is a hoax or not. I am putting a
Pardon me.
bounty on every one of those salt sippers.
Yep. Crashed our boat and disconnected. Get back in. I think the whole melodrama story between obviously two brothers who are constantly at odds and at each other's throat. On side, not on side. You know, that game ending with Dante and Virgil fighting together in hell. While Nero's kind of looking out for things out and about. I think it was a lot of fun. It could speak to, you know, a sequel eventually. But it also felt like a decent end point. I think Capcom will be looking at the very least, the number of people who watched this show and have bought a Devil May Cry game thereafter. And there'll be some, you know, eager hands hoping to push things a little further. There's a little bit of money out of it. Which, you know, it's a property. That's his job. But I, again, really did not expect to... Because they did an anime a number of years ago, which was like... It was alright. I feel like that anime, the last time, lent way too heavily on... We're gritty and dark and we're bloody and we're self-serious. I don't remember it having fun. Whereas this new show was constantly about that. Don't get me wrong, there were serious moments, there were some really compelling backstories, there was some grim shit that happened. But it had a lot of fun with itself. I think the direction and the folks calling the shots there really knew what they were doing, and it felt like a labour of love. It's going to be hard to justify that these days. I read an interview with the fella later, and it's clear that he cared. He's done some animation work before. Whether or not that speaks to a higher quality of video game adaptations going forward remains to be seen. But I certainly would put it in the camp of one of the good ones. I don't necessarily think it's as, like, I wouldn't say mind-blowing, but as impactful as Arcane was. That show holds a special place in my heart. And even stuff like, you know, the Mario movie was solid. The Sonic movies have done really well for themselves. I haven't gotten to them yet, but people hold them in high regard, so we'll take that. Fallout was really good. And we've had so many misses over the years. Like even the Warcraft movie, which I think we talked about before, I enjoyed elements of, but there was plenty about it, even as a long-time fan of WoW, that was just like, oh boy. So to see more adaptations come out and be positive, it's a big win in my eyes. It's a big win. Only speak well to the future of video game adaptations. And we've more on the way. Obviously, Nintendo announced that they're doing a Zelda. I mean, we've known that a Zelda's been in the works on and off over the years for a long time now, but for Nintendo to come out and actually give a 2027, I believe, release date, pretty big step up from maybe something's happening.
I need to get closer.
It just it really brought that feeling of joyous, we're just playing a video game, we're having a good time. That's the kind of show it is. It's good, fun, dumb entertainment with a little more heart than I was expecting. A little more story than I was expecting. While there are some brilliant action scenes in there, none of them blew me away of like, this will take best scene of the year away from some of the crazier anime moments we've had so far. But I certainly think it's up there. I haven't really checked in on reviews or more general consensus, but again, I had a great time with it. Folks want to tell me how much it sucked later, they're welcome to, but kind of tick away the good time that I had. I hope they managed to get a season 2. That'd be really cool to see. Although, the way it ends up with Dante in prison. So it felt like they were really going to get a walk off into the sunset moment, and then immediately it's like, nope, no, they're not. Well, shit. Didn't quite fly in the face of character growth. It seemed like, okay, we've more growing to do when it came to May. May, one of the two. It was late last night when I finished the other one. I think it was about midnight. I started watching it sometime around 7:30. I'd already seen like one episode. But I'll do a couple more before bed. I'll just do a couple more, and I was just engrossed. And I feel like the villain, the rabbit, really carried a lot of stuff. Like just the voice actor. Well, I'm sure I should know by now. I'm sure I recognize the voice. I think I had Kevin Conroy in there. Hey, rest in peace somewhere as well. We came up a bit. But Dante's in prison. Obviously, they have the bit with Virgil. It's clear that a season 2 might well focus, at the very least, its early episodes on Virgil's path. Which, from what I remember of his story, about like Devil May Cry 1 or 2, I'm not sure. That more demonic form of Virgil, that knight, is like the villain, and you only find out at the end it's the brother, but then for whatever reason, in the next game, he's back. But I think the next game, DMC 1, 2, and 3, and not in chronological order, from what I remember. 4 is certainly, I think it goes 3, 1, 2, 4. Maybe. Something like that. But 4 and 5 definitely follow on from each other chronologically. But he's still not as approaching. Oh, loved it. The thing we talked about at the start of the stream was the release date for the next patch, the next 0.5 patch. Which I thought they were going to launch all of the different activities all at once. But as it turns out, we've got on April 22nd the... Damn. The invasions for Hallowfall. And it said campaign. So I'm assuming there's a bit of story coming in. I mean, we had a bit of story on the lead into the Siren Isle, and we had a story quest in and around it, which was alright. You know, a stream or two's worth. Memory serves. Can't argue with that. Bit more story, yes please. But then the next part of that event, the Horrific Visions bit, which again, I've never played the Horrific Visions in Battle for Azeroth, so I don't have neither the positives nor the negatives, but the little bits I've heard thus far make me excited to finally give it a go. But that's coming on May 20th. It's about a month later, which feels... Again, I can't imagine the Hallowfall campaign bits being more than a couple of streams worth. And then the other bit of it will be, I assume, a weekly activity. You know, another thing to bang out once a week. If you want that gear. If you want all the potential transmog rewards, which I probably will. Will probably be in there a bit. Then a full month until those, and then after that it's like another couple of weeks for the Dastardly Duos to show up. I think it said the 6th. I get wanting to stagger out your content a bit. There's an element of it that not flies in the face of the player first direction, but feels more geared towards keeping folks having something new to do. Which I can't complain too much about, I suppose. I would rather have new stuff to do thrown out over time than I suppose all immediately. But I think the biggest one is just the month between the initial launch of it. I think that feels long. That feels like a long time. Like the Siren Isle was kind of front-loaded, but it was kind of just the Siren Isle. Right, what else came in that patch? Nothing to write home about. We had some story quest lines again, which is pretty good. We didn't have crazy gameplay additions, though. And if we did, gods, I should be remembering them. There's that scrap done. Go kill those nibblers and then sign up for some shipping. Hopefully it all works without a bug this time. Again, they're still
Undermine has no business
dealing with the 8-week patch cadence and holding to it for the most part. It just... I don't know, there's a lot of little bits of time gating that are starting to add up again. Well, and I'm trying to remember Dragonflight, right? I'm trying to remember how much time gating we actually saw in there, because I know there's a couple of smaller in-between bits of the patches. Like, there was a whole thing, a side quest with a bronze Dragonflight and a place that was frozen in time, that I remember people talking about. I never did in-game. I don't know if it was an event I missed. I don't know if I literally never found it. It was never on the map, it was never listed. I never saw a quest lead me there. Again, I might have just been a blind fool, but didn't he at the time? And obviously we had a fated season at the end of Dragonflight, which I enjoyed just for the transmog possibilities. There was a lot of way to earn stuff there. There was a lot of reasons to go back and do other bits of content. Especially when I hadn't been going in as hard. I enjoyed Dragonflight quite a lot, but I wasn't like every day playing. Right, Nana's going to call on us in a moment. So I'll get the jobs going.
Time to work, sugar. Ready, set, go.
Yum. I did watch a video on the Dark Fuse, like trenchcoat farm, by the way. And it seems as though the best thing to do is get your scrap piles until you hit friendly. And then you can get some items from the Dark Fuse vendor, which increase your rep gain. And then the best thing to do is go up to the nearby the docks, where a load of those Dark Fuse fellas are, and grind for about 9-ish hours. Ideally in a group of folks doing the same, putting these different consumables down that you need to get more market research and get it faster. Which that's not something I particularly want to do on stream. And to be honest, in my more limited time off these days, I don't particularly want to do it off stream anytime soon. That's a long ass old school grind. At some point I'll probably get to it. Because it's a black trench coat. You've got at some level you've got to reconcile with that. But just getting the market research gradually through playing, that's an effort in futility. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? You'd have to be doing this for a really long time to get to that point. Which, I don't know, that feels to me like it misses the point a bit. I get you want stuff players have to grind for, but when the grind is that mind-numbing, what's the point?
You made sure I got my cutting a tip, right?
It's too much.
Dark Fuse is sending their best to try and make trouble for us.
I know, Gaslow, but I've got deliveries to make. I hate this little spot of water. That's happened 4 times today where I've driven over it and immediately been submerged and just like, ugh. Please. Oh my god. Oh, don't tell me this package thing is still not working. One of those little reoccurring bugs that just make you go, oh, video game. Great. Cancel the job. We take up the job again.
It's go time, sugar. Let's make a buck.
Oh, another package one. Is this one going to be... I feel like if there are bugs like this, just disable the minigame. Just that one particular one. Maybe it's not widespread. I'd have to do a quick looky on the forums, but I'm sure. Game as big as WoW, people tend to air their grievances. Nope. Package again. No packages get delivered. Past month.
It's go
All
time,
of them
sugar.
are fucked.
Let's make a buck.
I'm really trying, Nanny. I'm really trying. I somehow drifted in midair, but that's fine. Alright, this one is... Get your goldfish. There you go, Garrett.
You did the job, and you didn't total your car. I call that a success.
Immediately again. Oh, dear. I don't know. Just going back to the Devil May Cry stuff, I don't know when I will get around to streaming it. Just because there's so much coming up and the backlog is already really big and I've not gotten to Avowed quite when I wanted to yet. What is that over there? Is there a quest down there?
Stirring things up. Trying.
Why is there a quest down there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a pin down here.
Well, well, well.
That's the goal. It's to... I think we've probably got
The news.
2 or 3 more streams of Wanderstop. Which, side note, I've really enjoyed. It has been... I knew it would be a little bit emotional. I knew we'd maybe hit some hard themes occasionally, but... It's gone through a lot more than I anticipated. And I'm so curious
Good job,
about
Dollface. You
the
make sure I
assets
got
of
my
that
credit
game.
tip right.
Assets is the wrong word. But the particulars of how a lot of its systems work under the hood. I'm really curious to do a big old deep dive and learn after the fact, once the game's finished, how a lot of that's kind of come about. And how a lot of the character interactions actually work and what can change and that kind of thing. There are no slimes, game. They've all been eaten. Surely when they've all been eaten like this, they should be spawning for me. Looks like we've got a lot of people kind of trucking about, as it were. We should take another job. We've been doing that enough.
That job's just your style. Burn rubber, honey.
Thank you, Nanny. Yeah, it's taken me a little longer than I thought to get through. And that's okay. It's just pushed my schedule back a bit because I still want to get to Avowed next. I still really want to play that game. And I know that'll be a big one to get into. It's not as long as some RPGs have been. Then we've got Expedition 33 coming out, which looks like it's just going to be a banger. Like, unless reviews come out, because I'm not going to get to it for launch. I highly doubt that. Hey, Emilis in the chat. The Undermine music does absolutely slap. It's been a delight of the patch. So much saxophone and I love it. How many more? We've got 5 more car jobs to do. There's a lot of games just in the pipeline still to get to. So finding space for an old one, I say old. But even going back to Devil May Cry 5 is like, when do I do it? Just defeat some guards. Not that dude though. Man, all the mobs have just been cleared out like buggery today. Come here, you lot. Try and grab some up pretty quick. Here we go. I didn't even touch on, by the way, during that show, the number of little nods and references to other Capcom stuff. Like the music, very on the nose, but... And honestly, those Capcom references bothered me a little bit more than the choices of music, because that just worked. It fit, you know? It was fighting folks in a house, smacks one dude into a TV, and Street Fighter's on the TV, and it's just Ken doing a Shoryuken. I was like, alright, fair enough. Then there's like a Mega Man thing sat on the bonnet of a car. You're like, alright. Sure, that's fine. I think the best one's probably, he's talking with his handler, for lack of a better term. And he's saying, oh, this is one of the worst jobs you've ever given me. What about that job in Raccoon City? And I'm like, since when did Devil May Cry and Resident Evil share a universe? I mean, clearly not, right? Because Demons and Dante would just be overpowered at that point. But it was still a fun little nod. That was a better nod, it just being silly through dialogue. Oh, I'm glad to hear it, Emilis. Good for you. You enjoy some time off. I've no doubt it were well earned. Enjoy your rest. Keep yourself hydrated now. I'm always nagging folks. Goddamn broken package delivery. We reset it again. I'd have finished this now if it had been all 3 of those packages have worked. I'm still definitely curious why there's a side quest I seem to have missed over there. I got the achievement for doing all the side quests, so no idea what that could be. Well, too far. Damn car. Mythic Nighthold. You'll have to forgive my dungeon and raid brain and the lack thereof. Nighthold the raid, right? Going for like an old piece of transmog? Was the Nighthold part of the Mythic Rota? Hang on. Okay, no, it is the raid. What transmog are you gunning for in there? I can only assume that would be the reason. There might be something else in there I'm not aware of. I haven't done a good old transmog time in ages. The last time we went to Shadowlands of all places and went through like the Castle Nafria, which was amusing. I hate it when a raid gives me those goddamn tokens instead of just giving me the transmog outright. Especially for Shadowlands. It's like, right, now I'm going to take all this stuff. It's warband bound, so that's good. We'll go and take it to all your different Covenant members. Oh, well, shit, I only had one character who went through. I wouldn't even know how to do that on my alts.
Good job, Dollface. You made sure I got my cut of your tip.
All
right.
Legion and BFA Mythic Range for Transmog and Mouse. Ah, I see. Quite an ordeal before you. But I wish you the best of luck. There's lots of tasty transmogs throughout those expansions.
Try and make trouble for us. How
Oh, not
many
this
of
one,
them
no, I'm
deaths
sorry.
you think adds up to one of you?
There's certainly a lot of those back then that I haven't actually gone back to and done the transmog runs for. Probably a few more of the Legion ones than the BFA ones, but to be honest, God damn it, parcel quests. The Legion ones, I'm kind of waiting for remix to inevitably come out later this year. Although I'm sure they'll do plenty of recolors. And we know the Horrific Visions is going to have another recolor coming with it as well. There's a lot of good stuff to be going and getting in there.
What? I'm working.
What do you want me to do with this trash? I don't understand. Oh, jump on it. I think that's fair enough, Emily. It ain't for everyone. And that's okay. As someone who's been a solo player for most of my WoW time, I've been really enjoying caring about item level again just for delves. Mainly for the double question mark boss at the end. It's kind of been a new goal. Like, before this expansion, I hadn't cared about item level for years. Didn't give a toss. Didn't give a damn. But delves actually has me actively trying to bump the number up, which I didn't really expect. I'm wearing a mythic helm just from delving, which has been pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, once the underpin goes down at some point, we did our first try of him yesterday, and Jesus, that fight is a lot of mainly trying to kick bomb footballs about to blow up ads or just getting destroyed. It's a little more than Zekfir was, which was the prior secret quote-unquote delve boss. But it certainly felt like a way for me to go through and enjoy a bit of that item level game. The rest of it, like, I don't do mythic dungeons, I don't really do much raiding. I've been doing a bit more LFR this patch, just because LFR now has a, what's the word? It now has a renown track for mounts and transmog and stuff, which like, transmog's the reason I've played this game for so many years, or I've stuck with it for so many years. Second, story's a close second, even though some folks may balk at that, but I've always loved WoW's story, as on and off as it's been over the years. Maybe I've just been a part of it so long. Have you got like a checklist you're going through? I'm going to do this class first. I'm going to go for this mount first. Or is it any and all? All the class armors. All of the mounts. Just steadily working through it. I suppose all the warband changes the War Within and just prior to it released helped with that an awful lot.
Well.
I was like, I can't wait till Dragonflight gets to the point of legacy loot so I can go back and get some of those. Some great sets in there. Hell, even this patch. A load of the armor sets didn't end up being goblin themed. They ended up just being really cool. So when it eventually becomes legacy and soloable, I look forward to going back and grabbing a bunch. I suppose the only other time I really care about gear is when we've been going for nope, god damn it, jetpack. We've been going for some of the elite PvP sets, but this season none of them really speak to me colour wise. Last season we went for 3 of them. And that got a little stressful, but it was okay. Boop. Why? Quest fail noise. Let's see, from Emma's chat. I played on private server since I was 12. Bought retail at the end of BFA, started Shadowlands, but I haven't played much. Just playtime was Dragonflight, quit a few months of that. I think that's more than fair. I've more unfortunate timing to get in, I suppose, with how Shadowlands is viewed, generally speaking. I don't think I hated it as much as most folks, but it certainly felt like, oh, yeah. But I find it fascinating. Dragonflight, I think, did really, really well, so I think that's good to hear. But if after the War Within, like, you know, you've gone through the story, you've got a character at max level, if that's the game for you at that point, that's perfectly fine. I think a lot of folks put in, oh, we just play it for the gear, we just play it to do Mythic, or why else you play it. I think there's a giant audience for WoW who just plays it more steadily. Like myself or yourself, and I think that's fine. Ah, so it's just grab bag at the moment. I see. You have a Death Knight endgame, but it's no fun for you at the moment. None of the heroes, like, talents or current spec options for the class really speak to your interests. I will say something. I've played Rep Paladin since, like, just before Burning Crusade came out. For a good number of reasons, and I'm enjoying them probably more now than ever. I also feel like I've got a lot of range, I've got a lot of mobility. I really enjoy that for the PvP side of things, even if I don't do as much as I did. But in terms of hit button feel good, I think one of the best classes for that is probably Enhancement Shaman. Because everything, especially if you like your lightning bolts like I do, everything just explodes with awesome lightning sound effects. I think this is a good time for trying out other classes, experimenting. In the next patch, at some point, I'm not quite sure when, I think it was not the first week of the patch, but soon after the 22nd, there's going to be a leveling event. We don't have any details on said leveling event yet, but that might be an opportunity. On Holyford Dragonflight, rerolled to Frost. I played with my Frost Death Knight. I enjoy that Frost Scythe is now just a big old crit button. That feels pretty good. I know most people went Riders of the Apocalypse, and I don't blame them. That's pretty damn cool. I wanted to go with the other one just to go with the other one more than anything else. I quite enjoyed it. More Frosty Sides coming down. But again, if it's not speaking to you at the moment, no harm in trying about other things. And I think WoW as a game is one of those where, and the devs have gotten behind this more and more in recent years, that it's okay to step away from. Like, if you're not feeling it, I wouldn't force yourself. Come back when there's stuff you want to do. But if you're again, Transmog Farm kept me through the game, through its worst years. Some of my worst years. Shadow Priest are pretty good right now. They're pretty good, just in general. They feel pretty good to play. Which I wasn't expecting to enjoy. The bits I did in a remix. But Pandaria when I was leveling each race just to get all that heritage armor and more delicious transmog. But cheeky paladin, I'm never going to say don't do a paladin. It feels great to be wearing heavy plate armor and be able to heal yourself. Especially for the more solo orientated player. Paladin tends to help a lot for that. Lovely. Man, I'm never going to earn. Speaking of transmog, there's this black trench coat here, which requires you to get exalted with the secret 5th Goblin Cartel. And it's just a grind. It's just a grind to pick up these tiny bits of market research, and every 100 you get 500 rep. So you need like 84,000 to get the amount you need to get the trench coat. And I'm not quite at the point of wanting to spend 8 hours farming it, certainly not on stream, but it's a black trench coat though. My younger self would be remiss if I didn't get it at some point. There was a side quest here though that gave you a more standard detective lady brown trench coat, which is pretty nice. It's something. Don't get many big long coats. Plenty of folks have been putting the guides about. It's if you want it, it's a grind. That there's certainly groups about doing it as well, but solo it doesn't seem too bad to go through and do. It's just a long grind. Excuse me, party goers. Excuse me. I just need to dig into this rubbish trash. There you go. Rubbish trash. Rubbish bin. 3 more of these. We get the world quest done. We're still building up little bits of rep and getting some valor points as we go. Not this person in the car waiting for more to spawn. Spawn rates today have been a little wibbly. Maybe there's just tiny, not enough amount of people. Just a little bit under the threshold for spawning things faster. I think dragon flights, normal mode dungeons are possible on 615 item level, or do solo at all. But normal mode? Probably. Depends on the class. I think if you're on a Death Knight, I think a lot of things in this game are soloable by a Blood Death Knight. Just the amount of self-healing you've got, that's always a go-to for soloing old raids and stuff like that, because you are so unkillable. I haven't gone back and tried much Dragonflight stuff. I still have a quest to go and do the mythic Dawn of the Infinite dungeon, because I've never done it. I never did any mythic stuff. So I haven't tried going back and to do that one on Mythic, but I imagine on normal, maybe not even needing blood, because you still have Death Strike that you're hitting a lot on Frost or Unholy, so I imagine you'd be alright. Walk in the door, have a look, boop somewhat on the snoot. Alright, the Gore Howl's a good one. The Gore Howl's a good one. I'm more of a sword boy than an axe man, but can't turn down a good transmog. Honestly, even if it's on heroic, slap it on, have a look. There's no harm in walking in and trying to boop something in the snoot, you know? It might be alright.
Something for you.
Steam Weedle Cartel wants to thank you for your assistance. Observe all safety protocols and see Lab Assistant Leslie for a reward. I mean, I'm here with you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, it wasn't a side quest, it was just go pick up your rep reward. Which is a toy and a horn into the car. I'm good. Ah, for flexing purposes, I understand. Let's say go give it a go then, have a bash. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's alright. Hey, try going in on Frost first if something smacks your nose a little too hard, or you're just on that edge. You're like, right, I'm killing the things, but I'm just taking a little bit too much damage. Just that little bit too much. Blood will sort you out at that point. Because that's what blood does. It would always fascinate me, the stories of a raid group who would tackle current content as just like a giant group of 20 to 30 Blood Death Knights. I hope that guild's still going. That'd be fun.
Best deals in town. Come back for more.
Get
Thanks
these
for
in.
stopping by.
Unlock
I'll
some
be
more
waiting.
great vault
Won't
stuff.
find better.
Beautiful. Let's open up some of these bags and boxes. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Lovely stuff. So much on screen. We need to
Have I
find
got something for
the
you? I'll be waiting.
The junk fellow.
Red hot savings here.
We have some gunk, and I have one of those vintage cola bottles. It looked like a really impressive dungeon, Dawn of the Infinite. It looked really, really impressive. And I really wish I'd done a little bit at the time, but I just... very disillusioned across the video game spectrum by playing in groups because of how toxic it can be. I don't know where WoW's at these days. You often hear horror stories, but as to realistically where it's at, I wouldn't even know. But it's certainly something on that list. Where is this scrap dude? I always forget. I wish they'd just label it on the map. Is it this one? It is. Thank buggery for that. Oh, thank you very much, Emily. That's very kind of you to say. You know, I'm doing what I can.
Interesting.
For what it's worth, we stream WoW in the morning, 9 AM GMT, and then between 4 and 6 on an evening, stream other games. Pardon me.
Watch yourself.
Got a lot of playlists on the channel for people to go back and have a look-see at if you're curious. Maybe one of your favourite games is on there. You want to see me flummox my way through it. I have to try and sell myself a little bit. Keep growing that subscriber count. But we've been going since July last year, and a lot of people said that you either do streaming WoW or other stuff, and never both. I wanted to do both. I don't know. WoW has been such an integral part of my gaming life for, you know, like 20 years. So it would have felt weird to keep playing it in the background and not play it on stream and never talk about it. That would have just been a weird thing.
See ya next time.
But I'm glad
Ahoy! Off with you then.
that I can offer you some comfort as you get on with the farming.
Hurry back.
Alright, before I crack on with this next side gig going over to the coast, we're going to take a quick bio break. So, I'll say what I always do. Stretch your legs, refill your beverage. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. I'll see you soon. And we're back. Thank you for your patience. Just get my headset back on. Oi, there we go. Right, off to the beach.
Welcome to the best place ever.
Well, thank you, Emily. That's very kind of you to say. I know, it feels like a lot of the time I'm just kind of stumbling along, but as long as I feel like I'm genuine and I'm enjoying myself, we're doing alright. The thing on the evening streams, I try and go through one game at a time. Like when I used to watch streamers a lot, there's nothing I got annoyed by more than someone starting a game, especially one I really liked, and then playing different games every day of the week. Then by the time, pardon me, they get back to the one I actually wanted to watch again, the first 20 minutes or so of the stream is them going, right, where was I going? What was I doing? And to be fair, I've been doing a lot more of that than I initially thought I would. Just in terms of getting lost, but I think that speaks more to my terrible geography skills than anything else. We're trying to keep it as consistent as we can. Some days are easier than others, such as it is. Ironically, the thing that's been drawing in the audience more than anything else has been the YouTube shorts. Like, I'll do my morning stream and I'll then spend a couple hours or so editing shorts for the channel, which is a snippet of the WoW in the morning and then a bit of Summit in the evening. Or from the prior evening, I should say. What am I looking for? Shiny treasure. And I feel like sometimes someone either sees one of the WoW shorts or they see one of the evening shorts and they subscribe and then they immediately unsubscribe because they see I do the other. And it's like, ah, well, can't win them all. But I kind of position the WoW stream in the morning, especially in moments like this where we've been going through a patch for a wee bit. We're not going through new story stuff. There are a couple of goals we want to hit, like the Underpin boss from the Delves. But I treat it more as a morning show, just to hang out with folks and natter on for a while. Obviously that becomes easier as the audience grows and there's more folks to talk to, but that's the goal. And then when there is like a new expansion or bigger stuff, or my goodness, when player housing comes at the end of the year, oh, there's going to be a lot of player housing streams. Probably. Very excited for all that. I would hazard a guess that as someone more into the transmog and mount collecting, you might be looking forward to player housing yourself and what opportunities it may offer. Early looks seem positive. We'll have to wait and see how it all turns out, but I'm pretty hopeful. Well, yeah, hence the moniker Good Morning Azeroth, I suppose. Egg. Oh, I just wanted some eggs. Don't do this to me. Did not mean to call the population. There we go. We'll grab up these next few world quests, and then we'll go and do our weekly follower dungeon. Get a little more rep going. And then we'll probably call it for the morning. Honestly, I'm just as surprised as you are, Melis. It's a very rare occurrence I get folks coming through the recommended stream avenue. From what I understand, YouTube doesn't really push them that well. I think one of the reasons that I've seen a lot of channels kind of start behind me, there's a wonderful little channel called Librarian of Azeroth. And she goes through and just reads through a load of the in-game lore books, bit by bit. And that channel's grown a lot quicker than mine has, and I think that's more on me not leveraging the strengths of the platform. Like, if I truly wanted to be leveraging the streaming, I should have started with Twitch. But I always watched my streams on... I watched VODs on YouTube more than I watched stuff on Twitch Live. And I wanted to start here as a platform because of that. And the initial intention was to make more edited videos as well, but I was burning out real quickly and it wasn't going as well. But I still wanted to stream. And maybe in the future things change up a little bit, but I tried dual streaming for a bit, but my computer can't handle it. Not for WoW, not for Monster Hunter, which was when I was first wanting to try it for. I felt that was a big game to try and do that push. But to no avail. And at that point, with over 190 subscribers, it felt like a bit of a slap in the face to suddenly be like, right, I'm just going to focus on Twitch. So, no, I stuck with YouTube instead. Which, again, maybe to my detriment. It wants me to make more of the edited videos. I think it'd help the channel a little more. Maybe at the very least a channel trailer video or something. I need to get knocked out at some point. But for the moment, we're just steadily going and growing. And I want to keep going at the very least until I hit the year mark. And kind of see how the subscriber count's looking then. So I do want to keep going, but I have to understand the reality of if I'm not able to create something monetizable, at some point it's going to be unsustainable for me and my life. I'm in a fortunate position right now where I can do so, but reality will always rear its ugly head. But the goal is to keep going as long as I can and hopefully get it to that point. At the very least, consider other avenues as we go. I think even if I were to manage to get back into work elsewhere, I'd still want to stream. Do it more casually, maybe. We'll have to see. Oh, you banged through them pretty quickly. Goodness me. Well done getting through. Did you get any good drops? Or was it a disappointing one? As so often can be the case for transmog runs. Even if they're easier these days, it's still a, oh boy. I had a friend of mine who was farming Invincible for the better part of 8 years. She got it eventually, but it was a long old time. Week after week after week of Ice Crown. Which character you think you're going to try first, eh? Oh, thank you very much. I'm praying for it too, to whichever Eldritch God may or may not be listening. Right, let's get ourselves back to Undermine. And then, what was the... It was the Stone Vault. Okie dokie. Again, it's probably faster to go through these dungeon weeklies just as a queued heroic, but follower dungeons are way less stressful. Just in general, easy for me to jump in. Going for the priest. I wish you luck. Any ideas on the race you're going to pick for it? Yeah, I made an Earthen priest as I was going through the War Within. Slapped them into Legion Chromie time, just to get a little more of that background Rizalatath, because I'd never made a Shadow Priest, and I was curious how it was all framed back then. I'm sure they had no idea she would go on to be quite the success that she has been now. But she was always an interesting character, even just as a knife.
What brings you?
Started doing IC religiously every week, at least once. No success there yet. Oh, goddamn. Well, I have no doubts it will drop for you sooner rather than later. I know it's a long old dungeon to get through, even these days where you walk through and one-shot everything, but it still takes a while. I've always been more of a transmog fella than mounts specifically. I don't mind getting mounts, I enjoy them. But I've always... I like my big silly shoulder pads and my great swords, what can I say? Pardon me. Alright, come on team.
So here we are. I speak our Irish. Or is it just Irish now?
Also, I think, thinking back to what you were saying about Dragonflight Heroics, if I can run through these follower dungeons at 653 and pull giant ass groups, that should really be putting me in the ground. Even on Paladin, I think you should be more than alright going on Dragonflight Heroics. Ah, see, I've been an Alliance player for most of my playtime of WoW. I'd always have one Horde character, because it used to be always each faction would have a story to tell, and I'd want to see the other side, especially for Battle for Azeroth. An amount where you can get a Horde armored horse or an Alliance armored wolf.
What's this? Is that
But I had that's a mount I felt like I had to get. I still got him on my hotbar. Little ironclad frostclaw.
Brilliant.
I love him a bit. I'm going and trying the other side, and whether it's seeing the story or just seeing the zones, like a lot of folks have so much nostalgia. Like for me, Stormwind is always that home of WoW nostalgia. It's music, it's layout. That's kind of where that's where I call home in WoW. And there's a little waterfall nearby. There's a tiny hut on a hill as you're heading towards Northshire, where there's an exploding sheep and a fellow who gets upset by it. And beyond that, there's a little waterfall that me and a mate used to just go sit at all the time. If you haven't made an Irvin yet, I think their starting experience is pretty solid. There's some interesting lore tidbits in there for the Irvin. And to be fair, you can make the Irvin be a Horde character if you want to go through and see some of the Horde storylines over the years. Might look goofy, but there's only one way to find out. Well, no, that's not true. You can always go to, like, Wowhead and find their model viewer. But, to be fair, with the Collections tab now, you just make an Earthen, get in there immediately, and before you do any quest, start slapping up that Sets tab and be like, right, how are we looking? What we got? What we doing? How's it looking on my Earthen? You know what I mean? Just start I've spent so much hours in WoW with a character open and just sat on this list and going, right, what do I need next? What am I missing? There was one. Man, I should go. I've got bits of that Antorus one. It's a very nice paladin set. Anyway. It's the joy of transmog. Oh no. Died the battle for Blazor. Skipped to the Jaina part and now stuck on the ship. Honestly, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. My recommendation, a quick Google and hope for the best. Or maybe it's possible if you leave the instance and reset it. I believe you can get the scythe. It'll be in pole arms, right? Where was it? It was that big glowing bugger, wasn't it? Dragonflight ones, Shadowlands ones. Where are you? Pretty sure I don't have it myself. Hellfire Citadel, so it would be onto that one. Didn't get it myself at some point, did I? Sometimes I wish this collection tab was just a little more doable. I don't know its name. I can't help you. As far as I know, it's still available. I feel like the sword was more difficult. Oh no. Once on the ship stuck. That might be a situation of if you haven't killed any of the other bosses yet, which I can't remember if you had to get on the ship for the skip. You might be able to leave and reset the instance. Maybe, if it hasn't created a lockout in your calendar yet. Right, goodbye, big old fella.
Look for a service tunnel nearby. You should be able to take a minecart back to Central.
Thank you, Dagran. I always miss going in and doing the story. It's fun to just do all the character voices and be silly with it. But it'll come round again. Always does. Bum, bum, bum. I think that's one of the problems with old raids and older content is there is a lot of little fiddly scenarios like that that never really got sorted. I know occasionally they go back. I think Antorus was one of those where they had... Ooh, I overpulled. Bubble. Where a lot of it wasn't soloable, and then they recently made some changes where it was more soloable, but there are still elements like that, and certainly mechanics that they had to go back and change. Now, my sympathies, Emily. It sucks when, like, again, fiddly shit like that just gets in the way of you enjoying your farm. I don't know if the answer is to go back and create ways to enjoy that content and farm it a little easier, but where you put the development resources, I suppose. More's the pity. Nyalofa's one of those that I think I've only walked... I don't even know if I've gone and walked into it once or twice. Just loads of really cool Black Empire stuff. The A&R part, that was like... I'm trying to remember. You were protecting a tree? There was a meter that was filling, you had to run around, there was a load of ads, it was more of a puzzle than a straight up fight. I find the idea of something new catching you off guard each time quite amusing. At least it keeps it fresh, I suppose.
Machine speakers.
As it doesn't happen too often these days.
Fanatically loyal.
Oh wow, has to keep me on my toes.
Defense protocols activated.
I think if I was doing the harder content, sure. And that underpin boss certainly is harder content, but... I know, I'd like to be able to engage with the game's harder mechanics as a solo player a bit more. I think Dells have had a good start, but I want to see them expand on it. I want to see some of the crazier mechanics that... I say that and then get bodied by a box for not paying attention. And I think that'd be me dead. I like seeing those harder mechanics. And there's just not much opportunity that the game's had prior to Delves to service that. So I'm hoping,
Look for another
especially as we get into Midnight, I can't imagine we'll get a bigger jump in the next 0.2 patch. I'm hoping in Midnight Delves have some crazier shit going on. Remember this in chat. Yeah, protecting the tree, free instant death mechanics, and you're on your DK with one movement spell. Hang of it after the guys, but some of the deaths would explain. I completely get what you mean. I imagine if I walked in there now, having it been so long since I did a transmog run, just eat shit immediately. I get that completely. Just getting suddenly overwhelmed by a mechanic and the panic that sets in. The bit of frustration that follows. It's alright. You know, the more you do something on habit, the easier it will inevitably get. You know? You'll get there. At some point, it'll be second nature. My main thing, especially when it comes to battering one's head against the brick wall of what can be difficult or frustrating things in video games. Remember to take a moment, take a breath, have a little break, walk away, get yourself a glass of water, have a bite to eat, stretch your legs a little bit. Pardon me. And come back that little bit fresher. It does do a lot of good. There was a game we were playing on the channel called Kill Night a few weeks back. And this is like a top-down, isometric, bullet hell meets Devil Daggers. I suppose Devil Daggers pretty niche, that might not ring any bells, but... It wasn't a roguelite because you didn't get procedural generation and you didn't get crazy powerful between and through runs. But the highest difficulty of that, I was having a really rough time with. I spent 3 hours banging my head into one level for one day. Came back the next day, rested, well fed, did it the first time. completely blew me by surprise. Now, don't get me wrong, I immediately got stuck on the next thing for a couple hours. But it was such a dramatic shift from going of 3 hours banging your head against the brick wall to suddenly, oh, it's done. Holy shit. Part of the fun of streaming was that now is saved and catalogued forever online. And I always record streams as well. Storage is starting to become a bit of a problem. Just a little bit. Average streams like 20 to 30 gigabytes. And I got one external drive that's pretty beefy, but that was expensive. But it's worth doing. Even worst case scenario, YouTube just disappears one day. At least I'll have it all. Oh no. Don't you bring League of Legends up to me on. It's been a long time. I used to play a lot with groups of friends. I'd played League on and off since like the closed beta. And I love its world. I love its characters. I adored Arcane. But unless I'm occasionally once a blue moon asked, hey, come do an ARAM with us or something, I find it very difficult to play while tilted. Especially the way people can be. I tend to have chats turned off by default these days. And my goodness. Seems like League has never gotten better with that problem, but I love Aurelian Salt bits, I love my volley bears, I love me. I'm a top laner, you know, it was big bruisery beefies in the top lane, it was a good time. Even though I know Warwick's not really a top laner, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But nonetheless, being in a tilted state is not ideal. Keep yourself steady would be my advice. Oh, I'm glad to hear it on that front. Stay clean. Stay clean. I'd agree with you a bit. I still really enjoyed Season 2. I really enjoyed it. I just... There was a lot of stuff as we got towards the ending and the... almost the change in theme to an extent. And a lot of the issues that were brought up in the first series, like just world issues for the show, ended up not getting answered in a satisfying way. It felt like we were kind of rushing a little bit. I'm still excited for what more they do with the world. I used to main jungle and played a lot of Shaco and other stuff that was meta. I was wondering. Shaco is one of the invisible boxes, even to this day. Like some friends asked me to play last week. Someone was playing as Shaco and there was just walked into a box. There was a new wall that spawned because apparently now walls can spawn in places with whatever demon felt Atakan or whatever his name is going around the map. Walked into that wall, walked into a box, died immediately. It doesn't matter that I was Mordekaiser. Got killed by box. Oh. As long as the toxicity came from the gameplay and not mouthiness, I'm sure it was fine. And on the latter, I think you get past there at some point. Oh, my checklist was done. A little more valor points. We go do the raid on LFR tomorrow. I'll have to go through and check that. Let me get my bits and bobs into the war bank.
I have an extended supply of goods for Outlanders.
More gear in there, fuzzy alts. Oh no, Emilis. Oh no. Don't out yourself like this. It's okay. It's alright. I've always been adverse to confrontation, so it was more telling people to stop arguing and being a warrior in that sense. Which never worked. Only ever made things escalate and get worse. I think if you're at the point of expressing that and accepting that, I think that speaks better than a lot of folks these days who still do it. Like, there are folks that get into their later years and do that kind of thing because it's fun. Quote unquote. Because they think it's fun and acceptable to be sending death threats, winding people up, and just generally being shits. Never liked that. I agree. Absolutely don't condone it. And I think a reason you see a lot of it is because the folks who do it because they think it's fun and encourage it in others make that shit spread in a way that's really unhealthy and is really worrying, to be honest. I see a lot more of it these days and a lack of accountability, but we can only do our best and learn from our mistakes, you know? And as just someone who has, I can only have respect for you.
What's the damage?
I've seen such a strategy work on occasion, so I completely understand. Oh, I thought I had enough to grab one of these for you, and I do need to run back by the trench coat and make sure I hit another one of those. It's a strategy that's absolutely worked on me, I'll tell you right now. Was very easily wound up by people who knew what buttons to press. Absolutely. I adored going to Legends of Runeterra and seeing them flesh out that world. It's a shame where that game's ended up, just in terms of the support they can barely give it now. I'm glad it's not shut down. But just going into the wider world of that is always a delight. I love the dragons they made across Targon as well. Maybe I'm just a big Aurelion Sol fan, but you know. What is this giant head that leads me down to the trenchcoat guy? I always lose it. But there's so much of that world left to explore, and I think all their steps into different media going forward just means we're going to get a lot more of that. And I'm really excited for that world's future, especially after Arcane. The issues with Season 2 aside, its popularity speaks for itself. It's going to do a lot for getting more of those stories. We'll have to just see if they can keep up with it, or if it just becomes a cash grab. One would hope not, but historically speaking, it's hard not to assume. I know it's in Hovel Hill somewhere. I will find this goddamn head. This happens every week I do this. Every week I lose the bloody thing again. I know you're around here, you son of a bitch. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3 is absolutely fantastic. I've been a fan of like D&D for a number of years now. I got through a Critical Role and that kind of thing. And Baldur's Gate 3, it was so interesting from Larian as a company and the Divinity series that had come before it. How everything just lined up for them to nail it. And Baldur's Gate 3 is fantastic. I had a couple of gripes, mainly because of a lot of stuff with my ending at the time. But to be fair, I played it and got through it before a number of patches had come out, which alleviated a lot of my concerns. But I 100% agree. A fantastic story. And no spoilers from me. You have yourself a grand old time with it. One of these days I'll get back to it. It seems like a mammoth of a game to ever put on a stream. Especially with my backlog already being so full, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. I've always wanted to try Dark Urge as the goody two-shoes paladin that I am, and trying to fight those urges and see what happens. Because apparently there's some really unique stuff in there. Get back to Donegal, and I think we'll wrap up for the day. We'll be back with our LFR runs tomorrow, get those banged out, do our delves on Friday, push those tier 11s, get some more gear going. Monday, try the underpin again, cry a little bit, we'll be fine. Oh yeah, easily a 500-hour game. Like, if you wanted to replay it so many times, easily in the thousands. Absolutely no doubts about that. one of those that I almost wish I was younger when it came out, so I'd have had more time to do multiple playthroughs and get through it more. These days, I find it really difficult to go beyond my main playthrough, especially evil characters. I really struggle to play as an evil character. It makes me all, can it do it? Before I sign off for today, it's been a delight talking with you, Emilis. I hope to see you on the next stream. Thank you very much for your time. If you come along for the next one, I do appreciate it. Again, we got a lot of stuff on the channel, so I will just move on to my outro, and I will say thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed yourselves, don't forget to hit that like button. Help push the video through the algorithm so more folks can come hang out, play some games with us. Subscribe for more content here on the channel. On the weekdays, we're at 9 AM GMT with World of Warcraft, and between 4 and 6 in the evening, we're here with other games. And you can find playlists to all the games we've already covered right here on the channel to binge to your heart's content. So until next time, folks, much love, take care, and bye-bye.
So, an orc walks into a bar with a parrot on his shoulder. The bartender says, "Hey, where'd you get that?" The parrot says, "Duratar, they got them all over the place."